Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling something absolutely crucial: how to actually train your brain to think directly in English. We're going to go ahead and bust that old myth that you have to pack up your life and move abroad to get truly fluent. You don't need to live in London, and you definitely don't need a native speaker following you around 24/7. What you actually need are small, really smart steps that just fit right into your normal everyday routine. So let's dive into how to naturally rewire the way your brain processes language.
We've all been there, right? Picture this. Someone asks you a super simple question like, "Hey, what did you do today?" You understand it perfectly, but suddenly, you just freeze up, you feel nervous, your brain feels incredibly slow, and the conversation just keeps rolling right past you while you're stuck there trying to build a sentence. Well, let me tell you something really important. It is absolutely not because your English is bad. Not at all. There is actually a hidden mechanical process happening in your head that's slowing you down. And the good news, once you recognize it, you can totally fix it. The root of the whole problem? It's basically mental gymnastics. See, your brain is trying to do two massive tasks at the exact same time. First, you're forming the thought in your native language, and then you're scrambling to translate it into English before you finally open your mouth to speak. That takes a lot of time. True fluency happens when you completely bypass that first step. You just connect the thought directly to English. Once you cut out the translation phase, everything becomes so much faster, easier, and just way more natural.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover the mental translation trap, the shadowing technique, rewiring your inner thoughts, immersion and vocal training, and finally, building daily English habits. Let's get right to it. Starting off with Section 1, the mental translation trap.
Why does translating in our heads feel so unbelievably clunky? Honestly, it all boils down to structure. English just has a completely different structure than your native language. If you try to translate word for word, you're going to end up sounding, well, kind of robotic. For instance, you might try to say, "I very like this." Now, that makes total logical sense in a lot of languages, but in natural English, we say, "I really like this." That extra step of mental translation is the exact trap that slows us down and creates those slightly awkward conversational moments. Moving right along to Section 2, the shadowing technique. So how do we actually break this translation habit instantly? Enter shadowing. This is a super effective foundational practice that trains your listening and your speaking at the exact same time. The concept is beautifully simple. You just listen to a speaker and you repeat exactly what you hear instantly, like an echo. You do not stop to translate. By doing this, you're literally forcing your brain to operate strictly in English because there just isn't time to fall back on your native language.
Here's the catch, and it's a big one. You do not stop to check a dictionary or stress out about understanding every single word. If you only catch a handful of words, totally fine. You just listen, echo the speed, and mimic the natural flow. Think of it like learning a new song on the radio. At first, you don't know the lyrics, right? You just hum along to the melody. Well, English has a melody and rhythm too. And by shadowing, you're training your brain and your mouth to master that rhythm together. Honestly, just 5 minutes of this a day makes a huge difference.
Okay, let's jump into Section 3, rewire your inner thoughts.
Now that you're echoing natural English like a pro, how do you start generating your own thoughts directly in the language? Well, you build the skill progressively. You definitely don't need to start by writing a novel in your head. Start incredibly small. Just name single nouns in your room. Phone, table, chair, easy. As you get comfortable, add some action verbs. I open the door, or I drink water. From there, just build simple thoughts. It's morning. I feel sleepy. I need a coffee. Eventually, you'll be graduating to full-blown internal role plays, practically having conversations with yourself on demand. But what happens when you inevitably get stuck? Let's say your mind just totally blanks on a specific word. Whatever you do, don't revert to your native language to search for it. If you forget the word calculator, for instance, just explain the idea. Just think, the thing I use to count numbers. Because honestly, that is exactly how real-life conversations work. Native speakers forget words and describe their way around them all the time. Doing this simple trick keeps your brain firmly locked in English mode.
Which brings us to Section 4, immersion and vocal training. To really deepen this mental immersion and actually train the physical muscles of your mouth, you've got to use background audio. Listen, when you start putting on English media in the background every day, you might only understand maybe 30 to 50% of it at first. A lot of people just quit right there because they think it's too hard. But let me tell you, that is absolutely fine. Let that relieve some pressure. Your brain is doing crucial work behind the scenes, building vital audio connections and getting used to the sound and speed. Just let it play.
But listening is really only half the battle, right? Speaking is a highly physical skill. You're using your mouth, your tongue, your lips, your breath. So to strengthen those specific speaking muscles, take a short text and practice reading it out loud. Read it slowly first, just focusing on really clear pronunciation. Then read it slightly faster. And finally, read it with emotion. Seriously, if the sentences, "I am happy to see you," actually sound happy when you say it. Think of it literally like going to the gym, but for your mouth. Train a little every day, and that smooth pronunciation will just flow.
Finally, we're at Section 5, Build Daily English Habits.
Now, weaving all of this into a super busy life does not require adding hours of study time to your day. By simply narrating your day to yourself, you naturally practice the future, present, and past tenses right as your day unfolds. In the morning, try the future tense. Today, I will go to work. In the afternoon, describe what you're doing. I'm checking my messages. And at night, reflect. Today, I worked a lot. You're basically turning your normal, everyday routine into an effortless, continuous English lesson.
And you can totally stack these habits for maximum impact. It's all about combining passive learning with active learning. A really brilliant passive habit? Just change your phone settings to English. Boom! Your brain is naturally absorbing words like settings, update, or delete dozens of times a day. Then pair that with a quick active exercise, like writing a tiny 3-sentence diary right before bed, or just repeating a few lines from a 20-second social media video. You don't need to do more things. You're just changing the language of the things you're already doing.
There's this fantastic quote from the source material that just hits the nail on the head. Don't treat English like homework. Make English part of your life. Let it be in your phone, your notes, your thoughts, and your voice. That perfectly summarizes the core message of this entire explainer. Fluency doesn't come from forcing yourself to memorize boring grammar rules in a quiet room for 6 hours. It's all about consistency over intensity. When you just let the language naturally live in your daily environment, it completely stops feeling like a chore.
So I'm throwing this question over to you. Looking at your routine right now, today, what is the single 1-minute habit you're going to switch to English? Is it going to be changing those phone settings, or maybe just naming 5 things you see in your bedroom tomorrow morning? Choose just one small thing right now. The language isn't living in a textbook somewhere. It's waiting to live in your daily life. Thanks so much for tuning into this explainer, and we will see you next time.